welcome meeting. We are trying it out online to see if we can hopefully get a few more parents to be able to access it, particularly for those that are able to join at this time. It will be going on to the school website at some point this week, and we will send out an email to let everyone know once we're there. First thing to speak about is our golden rules. We have 5 golden rules at Waterside, and we speak to the children about them an awful lot. We show respect is a fairly new rule for us. We changed that. It used to be we let others learn, but at the end of last year, as a staff team, we decided to change it so that we can really emphasize the point that we should all be showing respect to everyone all of the time. Then we have we are kind, we look after property, we keep ourselves safe, and we try our hardest. And we discuss these roles with the children throughout the day, in assemblies, in classes, on the playground, all the time. And as part of those conversations, we have rewards and we have consequences when those rules are not followed. So on a daily basis, we will praise the children, we'll give them house points, we might speak to a parent at the beginning or end of the day. And if children do some really fantastic learning or they do something well in school, then they might get to come down and I will write them one of my compliment slips for some fantastic learning. Weekly, we have our celebration assembly. The star of the week is a child that's chosen because they've been demonstrating our school rules. We also send home postcards, which I'm sure many of you will have received at some point last year, and positive phone calls home where the teacher calls to let parents know that something lovely has happened this week. And termly, at the end of last term, we introduced our Waterside Wonders. That's 2 children per class per term that have been consistently always demonstrating our school's golden rules. And we also introduced a house points team reward. And at the end of last term, that was for the house that had the most points, and they got to come into the hall and enjoy a cinema experience where we got some comfy seats and snacks and things like that. So they're all ways that we celebrate really great behaviour at Waterside. But it's also really important that if children are not following our school's golden rules, that we have clear consequences in place. And we follow a general kind of system of reminder, warning, consequence. So if a child isn't following our golden rules, they're given a reminder. If they continue not to show them following the reminder, they're given a warning. And then if they still continue not to follow the rules, then they're given a consequence. So for example, if a child was not listening on the carpet whilst the teacher was talking, the teacher might start by saying, Amy, facing the front and looking at me when I'm talking, thank you. That's positively telling the children what we want to see, reminding them of that expectation. If they continue to talk, they'd be given a warning. So the teacher might say, Amy, I need you looking at me when I'm talking, thank you. Otherwise, you're going to need to spend some time at break time practicing that. And then if the child did not continued not to follow the rule, then they would have to spend some time practicing at break time. And that's what we call an educational consequence. So educational consequences are all about teaching children about the behaviours that we expect to see. Rather than telling them don't do this, don't do that, and becoming a nag, we teach them and we tell them about the behaviours that we expect to see. Sometimes children might do that at lunchtime in what we call lunchtime reflections, which is usually with me or another member of the senior leadership team in school. that might be part of lunchtime, might be the whole of the lunchtime. It depends on what the kind of rule break has been, the behaviours that have been seen. We try to make sure that we're keeping it appropriate. We also have something that are called protective consequences. So if someone is, for example, being unsafe and has maybe hurt other children, it might be that we stop that child from accessing a certain area for an amount of time, as an example. So protective consequences are about keeping the child, other children, other people around them safe. So that's just a bit of an overview about how we manage behaviour at Waterside. So just a quick mention about attendance as well. There is a big national drive to improve school attendance, and at Waterside we're aiming for a minimum of 97% attendance for all children across all of the school. And things that we do to reward and celebrate attendance, we have a weekly class attendance reward. So the class with the best attendance in our celebration assembly is given a certificate for the class, and they get to have our attendance trophy. But we do understand that sometimes children do get sick and it's not appropriate for them to come into school. So at the end of a term, we have what we call our 97% club. So any children that have met the target of 97% attendance, they get to come along. They have a certificate and a biscuit with Mrs. Powell, you know, we talk to them about great attendance and how pleased we are that they've been trying really hard. But we also celebrate those children that have been able to come in every single day. So we have a bronze certificate for those children that managed to come in every day for a full term. We have a silver certificate for those children that managed to come in every day for 2 terms. And we have a gold certificate for those children who managed to come in every day across 3 terms for the full academic year. And last year, our Parent Teacher Association also gave a small reward to those children, a sweet treat as well. So that's just some of the things we do around attendance. So, you know, keep trying, keep going with it, and working together we'll all manage to improve school attendance. Thank you.
Right, I am going to take over. So I am Mrs. Burton. I am the Year 1 teacher at the moment. On the screen, you should be able to see some lovely pictures of our classroom. We've got a really lovely big classroom, and we're really, really lucky. We've got 2 almost separate areas. So the long area with wooden and tiled floor that you can see, that is our art area, our writing and drawing area, and our home corner as well. And just around the corner, we're really, really lucky that our classrooms down in Key Stage 1 have their own toilet space as well. So we're really, really lucky that everything is kind of contained. The children never have to worry about going off anywhere to need anything. The cloakroom is around there as well. So everything is very much contained. And then the picture on the right shows our more formal learning area, which we've not started using completely yet. And that will be a very gradual introduction throughout the year. But the children are getting used to sitting at their tables, doing their written work, doing different group activities in all their different learning areas. We also have a really lovely carpet space. We're really, really lucky down this end of the school that we have the space to have carpet areas. So we have a lot of discussion on the carpet. Most of our teacher input is done on the carpet, either sitting kind of in rows facing the front, or it might be a circle time. But because we've got such a lovely big space, we do utilise it most of the time. And we've also got a really lovely reading corner, if you can see it in the nice little pictures. This year it is a jungle theme. So when I spoke to the children that are in my class now last year, they told me how much they loved animals and how much they loved the jungle. So we went with that theme. So that will change depending on the children. but we have got lots of display space to get all of the children's work up on display. We also use working walls a lot, so anything that will help the children's learning will go up on the walls. I believe we're going to take a quick look at the Year 2 classroom next. And I will let Miss Ozturk take over.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Miss Ozturk. I'm the current teacher of the Year 2 class. And just to mention, we do a shared timetable with Miss Sturmy. If you'll know her, she teaches on the days that I'm doing my PPA and my training. So she also has a big input with our Year 2 classroom. We've also got a very big space in our classroom, similar to the Year 1 classroom. We've got a big carpet space. We've got our tables, and it's not visible in the picture, but we've got our toilets in the cloakroom just behind the picture. We mainly use our carpet space for when I'm modelling work or when they're listening to something being modelled. And their tables, they're really great at using them when they're doing their independent activities. They were really amazing with this today when we were using it for art. We've got our book corner right at the back in the corner, and they do enjoy reading books in that corner a lot. We've got like a tree in that corner. Next to it, we've also got a kindness wall, and what this is that every Friday I'm going to be giving some heart-shaped post-it notes to some kids to write down anyone who's been kind or any kind acts they've seen throughout the week, and we're going to be filling it up with anything that is kind. And again, it is quite important because it does link to our golden rule of we are kind. So I think that would be a lovely thing to use. We've got all of our working rules, and we've got things that we are learning displayed on there. We are also putting an emphasis on learning new vocabulary. So that is something that will go up on the working rules as well, and something that we do teach to the kids in most of our lessons. Yep, that's our classroom.
Right, back to me. We are just going to have a very brief look at the class timetables. So we'll go through the Year 1 first and then move on to the Year 2. Looking at the Year 1 timetable, I know as new Year 1 parents, it can be quite scary because it's very, very different from their reception timetables in terms of the EYFS curriculum. So it looks quite full on at the moment, but I have put a little note on just to say that the children do still have their child initiated learning every single day at the moment. So it's not quite as free as it was last year. It's quite structured in the first half of each CIL session. So what that means is that, for example, in maths, we'll sit down and they'll have their teacher input. That might involve me modelling before the children have a go at an activity or a game, and that will then move on to some written work. But that also means that they will still have some child initiated learning linked to the maths work. So that could be thinking about the last couple of weeks, we've had the till and the shop out in the home corner. The children have had some number bond activities over in the art area. So it is still very much play based, but we are doing at the moment 20-minute learning activities for each lesson, including in the afternoons. So the children have all started their science learning, they've started their history. So all of that has started. But again, at the beginning of this year, they are very short, snappy lessons, not really much more than 20 minutes. The children don't sit on the carpet for much longer than 5 minutes. We really want to grab their attention now and make sure that their love of learning is there. So it is very, very gradual, and they will carry on having their child initiated learning until October half term, and then it will start reducing that little bit more. The children don't necessarily notice it, so please don't worry, but if you do have any worries or queries about it, feel free to come and speak to us, and we can kind of talk you through how and why that's the way it happens. One thing I will talk about more in a minute are the Read Write Ink sessions. So they are written as initials, RWI. You'll see that on the year 1 and the year 2 timetable. That is the children's phonics lessons. So they will happen daily, and they are also something that I will talk to you again about in a minute, that we would love for you to get as involved in as you possibly can. But I think you will be pleasantly surprised by how well they've adjusted this year to the timetable. So yeah, that's just a rough overview. Things obviously change, and it might not look exactly the same all year, but that is what it's like at the moment. And in a minute, we'll flick into the year 2 one, and Miss Ozturk will very briefly run you through that one as well.
Thank you. So our timetable is a bit more fuller than that one. Again, we've got maths every day, we've got Read Write Ink every day, English writing every day. Some days it alternates between guided reading and spelling and grammar. In guided reading, we are currently doing Grandad's Island, which I'll be talking about in a moment. And with spelling and grammar, we need to ensure that the children are getting better and better at their spelling every day. So we've started with some common exception words that they need to be practicing constantly. And then in terms of our core subjects, we've also got 2 1-hour PE slots, which is on a Monday and a Friday, and we are currently using the PE coaches to support us with this. And then, as you can see, we've got PSHE on a Monday. We've got Art and RE on Tuesday. They really do enjoy art a lot. Wednesday and Thursday are the days that Miss Thermi covers, and she teaches science, geography, and music. And on Friday, we have our computing lessons. And for our RE lesson today, they did produce quite good work. So we're looking at the story of the Good Samaritan, which again links to kindness and one of our golden rules. And again, at the end of every day, we do have to, you know, do a little story time with them. And sometimes we do colouring in just to calm them down and have a nice end to the day. Thank you.
So phonics, this is what I mentioned briefly a minute ago. So the children take part in daily phonics. So we last year started a new scheme called Read Write Ink. It is a brilliant scheme. It focuses the children into smaller groups, so that they're taught in targeted groups, which means that we can really home in on the sounds that they're unsure on, rather than racing ahead trying to kind of match 30 children all in one go. It means that we can have slightly smaller groups that are really, really focusing on making sure that they're secure in the level that they're currently at. That also means that I will assess the children very, very regularly. So it's at least once every half term to make sure that they're in the right group and the right stage. And then their reading teacher might flag them up to me if they feel that they are progressing that bit quicker, or if they're struggling slightly. And then we can adjust where they are in a group. So please don't worry if the children seem to be moving around a little bit in terms of their book levels. It's just making sure that they're in the right stage. And it might be that there are a couple of sounds that they're missing, which is why they haven't moved on to the next group yet. It's really not a race. It's not about being there the fastest. It's about being really secure in where they're at. Within that, every single week, the children will be bringing home 3 books. They will have a phonics book, which will be a paper black and white copy of a book that they have been reading in class with their reading teacher. They will be really familiar with this. They will read it at least 3 times a week. So that is one that they should be able to read pretty fluently. And that is the core aspect. There is the fluency. So it's making sure that they're using a nice voice, a nice expression. Just the repetitiveness is a fantastic resource for the children in terms of their reading. They will also then bring home a book bag book, which will be a coloured book that is on the same level, but they haven't read it at school. then they will also bring home a library book. So the library book is a book that the children won't necessarily be able to read by themselves, and it's one that we would love for you to share with them. As I say, this will change every week. We are aiming to get these to you by the end of next week. I know some children have come home with a library book already, but by the end of next week, they will have at least a book coming home, just whilst we make sure that they're in the right groups. We would love for you to make sure that they're reading every day, not necessarily just the books that we're sending home. Any kind of books would be amazing, and the children will bring home an orange reading diary, reading record, that we would love for you just to make a little comment in, even if it's something as simple as they enjoyed this book, or we read with them today. I know time is tight. As a parent myself with a little girl that's just started reception, I know how tight time is. So even if it's a nice little smiley face and you just check in with us, that would be brilliant. But what we do ask is that these books come into school every single day. We can't change them, and we can't make sure that the children have the right ones if they're not at school. So please make sure that they are brought in daily. If for any reason they get damaged, they get lost, please be really open and honest with us. We'd rather you be honest, and then we can fix it and move forward with it. There is a Read Write Ink workshop coming up. I will ask the office to send out a reminder letter, but it would be amazing to see as many of you come to that as you can. That will give me an opportunity to give you some really in-depth information about the Read Write Ink and how you can help going forwards, because reading is the key to everything. So it would be lovely to see some of you there as well. Right, in terms of reading as well, we also have guided reading sessions. So guided reading sessions happen in school as a whole class. So within this, the children are taught the key aspects of reading skills. So it's not necessarily teaching them how to read the individual words and the individual sounds. It's focusing on skills such as fluency, comprehension, and expression. You might hear me flick between the words expression and intonation. They're very, very similar in what they mean. So it's an opportunity as a whole class to look at some age-related texts, for us as teachers to model and give the children a chance to echo how we read. Again, it's exposing the children to that new vocabulary. It's getting them to look at all different genres of book. It might not just be books, it might be little extracts, it might be poems, and you can do that at home. It could be reading anything. It could be reading a magazine that they've got. It could be putting the subtitles on with their favourite Go Noodle on the telly. It could be anything. So any opportunity to read, please take it up as much as you can. Onto homework. I know this isn't necessarily something that you want to hear when the children are only as young as they are, but we promise it's nothing that's really laborious and really time consuming. They're nice, quick, short activities that the children can do throughout the week. So we ask that you read daily. The maths aspect, we use something called Timetable Rockstars. The year ones haven't been set up on that yet, and they will be. It just takes a little bit of time because we haven't introduced them to timetables yet. But year 2 have already got their logins. Again, we ask them to spend maybe 5 minutes on it. It's nothing really, really long or heavy. And if you have any issues, please come and talk to us. The children will also get some spellings that they need to practice every week. But as always, if you have any questions about this, please speak to either myself, Miss Ozturk, or Miss Sturmey.
And just to mention about Timetable Rockstars, their login details will be in their reading records, so they won't forget or lose them.
Okay, so the curriculum in year 1 is very, very heavy in terms of content, but the way that we approach this with the children feels very, very light to them. So I will talk you through it briefly, and as we go throughout the year, you'll get a little bit more information in what they are learning, and hopefully they will come home and tell you all about it as well. But this half term in maths, our key learning is looking at place value. So we focus on the numbers 0 to 10. making sure they're really secure in all elements of 0 to 10, forwards, backwards, adding within 10, subtracting within 10, before we then move on to higher numbers. It's really important that we get really, really secure within those numbers. Just because they know more doesn't mean they necessarily are any better off. We'd rather them be really cemented in their learning. In English, we are looking at being really confident in writing simple sentences. So the children have got exercise books that they write in, and for English, they have handwriting lines in. So this has been a really, really big learning curve for them the last couple of weeks, that they have adapted amazingly. So for them, it's writing those simple sentences, making sure that they can use a capital letter and a full stop and finger spaces to separate those words, but also that they're loving that writing as well, that it's not a chore for them. So which is why we keep it nice, short and sharp in terms of the activities. We've got so many different texts that we're using this year. I've written down just a few, but hopefully the children will be able to come home and tell you a little bit more about those. And throughout the year, the children get the chance to kind of take some of that learning towards directions of their interest as well. And then within our afternoon foundation subjects, we've got lots going on. So we're starting the year with toys and the history of toys and how they've changed in history. In art, we are looking at line and shape. And then we'll be moving on to DT after October half term, and we'll be constructing windmills. So please expect by Christmas that you'll have a lovely windmill to bring home. We are then also in science looking at seasonal changes. Lots and lots going on. Again, in nice, short, sharp lessons. In RE, we'll be looking at Christianity to start with this term. And in computing, we're focusing on how to keep ourselves safe online. Coming up to Christmas, we will have our Key Stage 1 nativity. And so I'm sure you'll enjoy learning the songs with the children when we get to that point later on in the year. And then sometime next year, we are looking to go back to a bird sanctuary for our school trip. It's an amazing trip. We're going to do it joint with year 2. The children get a chance to see birds of prey. They get a chance to see them fly. They get a chance to hold them. And there are some other creatures there that they get a chance to see as well.
On to the year 2 curriculum. In English, we will be covering character descriptions and formal invitations, as well as reading core texts such as Grandad's Island, Paddington, and the Christmas Pine. However, at the moment, we've started with something called Strong Start. So they're recapping their year 1 knowledge. And recently we've been looking at things like sentence structures, using capital letters, full stops, but also trying to develop new vocabulary by looking at pictures of scenes. For maths, we'll be recapping some of the learning from last year again, before moving on to further maths. So currently we are looking at fluency within 20, where we're basically using addition and subtraction facts to 20 and making sure that we are fluent on this before we move on to things like multiplication. And we are also, for maths, every morning we do have something called maths fluency. So anything that they've learned, we'll be recapping them daily, just to make sure that they are very fluent on what they've done before, and so they don't forget. And in our foundation subjects, we'll be looking at how schools have changed over time for history, the use of everyday materials, habitats, and microhabitats for science. In RE, we've started with Christianity, and then later on we'll be moving on to Islam. And again, we'll go to the same trip with the year 1s to the bird sanctuary, and hopefully they'll really enjoy this.
So our PE days this year, we are, as we've mentioned before, using some sports coaches within our PE lessons. So for year 1, that means that on a Wednesday afternoon, they get a whole afternoon of PE. Doesn't mean they're doing the whole thing for the whole afternoon. It is broken up into smaller sessions. But year 2s at the moment have got 2 separate sessions. So theirs are on a Monday afternoon and a Friday morning. So just a little bit of a recap, really, because I feel like I've said this throughout. But how can you help at home? You are brilliant as parents. So many of you have already asked us this this year already. But if you could read daily with the children, if you could use that Timetable Rockstars, if you could do a little bit of spelling practice every single week, it will enormously help the children. Just those little drip feeding at home and at school, you'd be surprised at how much difference it does make. If you are interested in volunteering at all, I would love some volunteer readers to come in. Please come and speak to Mrs. Milligan round in the office, and we would love to have you come in and help. Also, as I've said, you are always welcome to come and speak to us. If there's a problem with anything or you have anything you'd like to talk to us about, please come and talk to us. Normally the end of the day is easier, but obviously if it is really, really important, grab us at the beginning of the day. That's absolutely fine. There is always a member of SLT outside. You'll see Mr. Pierre standing out in the rain, I'm sure, this term. And I'm sure he'd love to have a chat with you in the rain. I'm sure he'll take his umbrella out. But no, there's always somebody outside if you would like to talk to them. If you feel that what you'd like to talk about isn't either appropriate for at the end of the day or is going to take longer than a 5-10 minute chat, please come around to the office, arrange a meeting, and we are more than happy to sit down and have those conversations with you. You will still receive those fortnightly newsletters. All key dates are included on there, so please make sure you keep up to date with those. We've got our Facebook page, and all of our classes post weekly updates, so have a look out for them. And we've also got a new website that is up, so please have a look. There's some lovely new pictures up on there, so make sure you have a little bit of a browse on there as well. Right, any questions? Has anyone got any questions for us? We will do our best to answer them if you have.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if, along with the reading that comes out through the Read Write Inc. thing, is Oxford Owl website still up and running and being used? I know they were set up last year with a login for it. Is it still being used?
Yep, still being used. I believe it was updated over the summer. I have had a little bit of a look around it. I will be sending out all of the logins again over the next week. But yes, still up and running. So yeah, definitely use that as much as possible, and I will make sure that's updated kind of every week with the children's new level of books as well.
Okay, that's great, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate it. And it's lovely to see so many people joining us. If you do think of any questions afterwards, just come and speak to one of us. We'll be more than happy to speak to you. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming.